Understood? all four of us do a panel discussion where I will be asking, I will quickly, I don't have questions, so I will have a short discussion for them and then I'll ask them individually about their startup. Then come back to you, ask some follow-up as to how do you work with them, what do you do for them.
So my thing before they join is the continuous.
Yes. You also the continuous.
Continuous, but that's based on all those 6 points you want to say.
Yes. So you are coming as a thought leader. The thought leader in biotechnology. That's what. And they are coming in. The idea is to do the 1 hour program that we want to do regularly for different sectors and fortnightly. The idea is to give people a quick view of what's happening in the sector.
Is the voice clear or the fan is running? Can I turn off the fan? Is the voice clear?
No, voice is clear. I can't hear the fan.
Good. So I'm ready then. Just
ready? Yeah, just some. Are you good, guys? You put it on speaker phone, Ramjee, or speaker. Remember your speaker is double. You ready? Yeah? Are you ready? Good. We are launching 14 regional languages. We already identified. So, what we have done is we have taken English as international, and we are launching a domestic channel called MyStartupTV.
very nice.
So that will be having 14 languages, and we onboard almost 6 people from different languages. We are including more, and what we will start today. And we also have one now corresponding in Africa. Based in days of pandemic. Problem for us is not journalism.
Yes.
That's the thing. Our problem is not to find journalists. I got already published. We got more than 800 applications. Even some of the applications came from will not be channel like
Yes.
Beyond the they applied. But our problem is finding journalists to understand startup.
That's
To the surprise, many of them don't even understand, the difference between, various series of funding. So how do I bring somebody, I told them, how do you even talk to a founder or a ecosystem enabler if you don't understand the terminology? So I think there is a need for journalists to be trained on a startup, how to report startup directly to journalists. That's the biggest challenge. I have interviewed more than 200 people in the last 1 month.
wow.
I could only find 4 people who could talk about startups or who have done some stories of startups.
Yeah.
So that's
great.
the challenge. We thought, and now we have to find in a regional language.
Just 1 second. You చూసుకోండి ఎక్కడైతే బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ వైట్ నాట్ వైట్ బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ బట్ లైటింగ్ ఇస్ గుడ్ దేర్ సో యూ కెన్ బీ దేర్ ఐ ఆల్సో ట్రై టు అడ్జస్ట్ దిస్ బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ సో థ్యాంక్ యూ టు నాదర్ లక్ష్మీపతి is joining after some time. Yeah.
Finding somebody who understands language, a journalist, and somebody who knows startup is a big thing.
Yeah, in fact, I love Telugu way to tell. So, maybe actually, that 1 hour interview, that's the first and last Telugu thing that I've done. Okay, sure.
Ready, right? Are you ready? They have got
starting something. In my watch, generally when I'm giving talks, my watch takes 3. So that's too bad in between when it's saying something, prompting something. That's why I couldn't balance it. Yeah.
Then what you can do is, if the trauma is not happening, then what you can do is, trauma is not happening after interview, just forget. Simple enough. I like that. I like that. It's okay if my team is not coming. If the guest is coming, it's okay. It's okay if my team is not coming. If the guest is coming, it's fine. Okay, do it. Start. You can't put you right now. Just do. You can't put you right now. Just do. Then start to teacher mode ಬೇಕು. Then start to data student. Only first teacher mode ಬೇಕು. Data student. Okay. Reminder. Okay, very good. Okay, fine. Reminder. Reminder. The second certificate. Okay, then we start. Okay, in the second certificate for going live. Guys, for going live. The moment you say, the moment you go live, tell me. Then I will start. Okay. The moment you say, the moment you go live, tell me. Then I will start. Welcome to MyStartupTV. I'm Major Sunil Shetty. This is our inaugural daily live show. Both I'm Major for the international and domestic audience in India. Inaugural daily live show. We will be broadcasting for the international Indian language audience in India in our daily live show. We will be broadcasting. We will feature 14 Indian languages, founders, in our daily live and show. Entrepreneurs. We will feature. So join us every day from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. India time. Entrepreneurs for live updates. So join us every day from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. India time. So today we are starting our inaugural broadcast global startup dive into the fascinating today world of we are starting our inaugural broadcast exploring dive groundbreaking fascinating world of biotechnology and sustainable solutions. Exploring groundbreaking. Let's get started. Medical my today guest is and sustainable Ramjee Pallel, the Chief Operations Officer. Let's get started. My today guest is Incubation Center. Ramjee Pallel, Center for Chief Cellular and Microbiology at the also known as Incubation Center, AICCCMB. Cellular. Welcome Ramjee Garu. Welcome to our inaugural daily live show on MyStartupTV. Welcome Ramjee Garu. Welcome to our inaugural daily live show.
Very glad to be here.
MyStartupTV.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sunil. Very glad to be here.
Start by understanding, what is AICCCMB? What's the vision? What's the mission for let's start by understanding, given that AI biotechnology, what's the vision? What's the mission for AICCCMB?
Atal Incubation Center CCMB. CCMB is our host organization. It is called Atal Incubation Center CCMB. CCMB is for cellular host organization. It is called. So our host organization Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology. Thought of encouraging and supporting scientists, students, and other startups. Thought of encouraging in the year 2016 and supporting to scientists, students, and other startups. NITI Aayog in the year 2016 to set up this Section 8 innovation mission of so since 2017, Government of Atal Incubation Center set up this Section 8 with the mandate of since 2017 in the Atal Incubation Center and biopharma with the mandate of focusing exclusively in the life sciences and biopharma applications for incubation space. They in the early stage of accept applications and the early stage of innovators who can actually engage with the incubation center. Startups and the early stage of innovators. If you can see in the past, who can actually engage with the incubation center. 7-8 years. So government, if you can see in the past, lot of programs. 7, 8
way
years,
before,
government has
through
come up with
DST,
lot of
DBT.
programs.
If you can see,
And even way before, government of
NST,
India
DB
through
of
DST, DBT, Department
If you
of
can see,
Biotechnology, set up another
NST, DB
center
of
called
DST,
Biotechnology Industry
Department of
Research Assistance
Biotechnology
Council, set up
Similar
another
way,
center
we
called
have
Biotechnology
Mighty
Industry
Startup Hub
Research
of
Assistance
Ministry of
Council.
Electronics and Information
Similar
Technology.
way,
So
we have
several of
Mighty
such
Startup Hub of
aligned
Ministry of
with the
Electronics
Startup
and
India,
Information
Invest
Technology.
India mandate
So
of
several
Government
of
of
such
India,
where
aligned with the Startup
Honorable
India,
Prime
Invest
Minister
India
Shri
mandate
Narendra
of
Modi
introduced
Government of India,
or
where
supported several such
Honorable
schemes
Prime
to
Minister Shri
accelerate
Narendra Modi introduced
life
or
science
supported
ecosystem or
several
healthcare
schemes
ecosystem
to
all over
accelerate
the
India.
and
Life
of course,
science ecosystem or
blessings
healthcare
in
ecosystem
disguise.
all over
The
India.
pandemic came,
And
and of course, blessings
altogether,
in disguise.
the pandemic
Life
came,
science startups
and
or
altogether,
biopharma related startups or
the
healthcare startups,
life science
startups
or
or
budding up,
biopharma related
and
startups
lot
or
of
healthcare
startups
startups
formed.
today. If you
Start
can see,
I think
budding
over
up
10,000
and lot of
startups
healthcare related
formed
or core
today. If you can
biotech
see,
related
I think
startups
over
came
10,000
in. But before to that,
healthcare
it's
related
hardly
or core
about 300 or
biotech
600
related
startups came in.
in 20 by
But before to that,
2019.
it's hardly about 300 or 600
AICCCMB
startups
having its
in
wonderful
by
infrastructure,
2019. So
dust-free and fully
AICCCMB
functional,
having its wonderful
all
infrastructure, biochemical,
dust-free and fully
genomics,
functional,
proteomics based,
and
all
molecular biology
biochemical
related.
So all these kind of
genomics,
equipments that
proteomics
we
based,
have, and our
and
host
molecular
organization
biology
also
related.
so all
offering
these
such
kind of equipments
infrastructure
that
and
we have
equipment, and
to
our
support
host
till
organization
now
also
more than
offering such kind of
125
infrastructure and
startups.
equipment
Because
to support till now
AICCCMB
more than 125
through its
startups.
journey
Since
because
2017,
AICCCMB
partnered with so many national
through its journey
programs.
since 2017
With government
partnered
and
with
without
so
government,
many national
support
programs
and also some of
with
the
government
international
programs
without government
to engage these
support,
innovators
and also some
be
of
it
the
in
international
social
startups
programs to
or be it
engage
in ICT
these
interventions in
innovators,
healthcare,
be
or
it in
be it
social
in
startups,
some of the
or
medium
be it in
scale
ICT
startups
interventions
as
in
well,
healthcare,
where they can
or
come
be
and
it in
use our
some of the
facility
medium scale
to become
startups as
successful
well,
entrepreneurs.
where they can
So
come
out of
and
the
use our
125
facility
startups that we
to
have become
supported till
successful
now.
entrepreneurs.
So out of the
At least
125
15 to
startups that we
16
have
startups they
supported till now,
productized their products
uh,
very well.
at least
And
15
some
to
of the
16
technologies
startups they
patented
prioritized. We
their
have
products very well.
I mean our
And
startups
some of the technologies
patented more than
are
40
patented
patents
we have
in these past
I
7
mean,
years.
our startups
And some
patented
have been
more than
transferred to
40
other
patents
companies
in
as
these
well.
past 7
And
years.
at least half a
And
dozen
some
to
have been transferred to
about 8
other
companies
as well.
they're already in
And
the market.
at least
And they
half
got
a
the
dozen
market
to
traction.
so
About 8 companies they're
fundraising
already
is
in
one
the
scenario
market
for
and
these
they got the
startups. But
market
yes,
traction.
this is one of the
So
major challenges in biotech
fundraising
sector.
is one scenario for these
And
startups, but yes, this is
though
one of the
government
major
is really
challenges in
pushing
biotech
up,
sector.
a lot in the past 5 to
And
6 years to
though government
fill
is
this
really
gap of
pushing
funding,
up,
a lot
be
in
it
the past 5 to
starting
6
from
years, 5
to
lakhs, 10 lakhs
fill
to
this gap
even
of
1
funding,
crore, 2 crores,
be it
3 crores.
starting
So
from
I think 5 lakhs,
government
10
is
lakhs
trying
to
its best, but
even
yes,
1
the
crore,
private
2 crores,
funding
3 crores.
to
So
the
I
deep
think
science or deep tech
government is
startups
trying
is a
its
bit
best, but yes,
very
the private
difficult in the
funding
healthcare domain.
to the
So in
deep
that
science or
sense,
deep tech startups is a
recently if you
bit
can see, we
very
try to
difficult in
actually
the healthcare
expose
domain.
our
So in that
best
sense,
curated
recently
startups
if you can
to
see, we
some
try
of
to
the
actually
investors and a
expose
dozen of
our investing
best curated
companies.
startups
They came
to some
and
of the
they try to
investors and a
understand,
dozen of
where are they,
investing
and they got
companies.
excited.
They
At least 3 to
came
4
and
startups
they
would
try
be
to understand,
kind of
where are
getting
they
engaged
and
with
they
those
got excited.
enablers
At
as
least
well
3
as
to 4
investors
startups
for the
would be
next
another
kind
2
of
to 3
getting
months. At
at least
least with
1 or
those
2 maybe
enablers
getting
as well as
investments.
investors.
So I think
The
for the
medium
next
we have to
another
create
2 to 3
and
months,
at least
the
1 or 2
platforms
may
we
be
have to
getting
create.
investments.
So
But
I think
otherwise, this is
the
one of
medium
the
we have to create
greatest sector.
and the
As you're
platforms we have
actually
to create. But
bringing
otherwise,
this is one of the greatest sector
medium
as you're
to
actually
global
bringing
audience.
this
I can
offer one thing, our
medium
startups also
to
can actually engage with the global
audience.
partners.
I can
Offer
the way
one
they
thing,
are
our
actually
startups
getting their
also can
US
actually
FDA
engage
and
with the global partners.
EU regulatory
The way
certifications.
they are actually
Some
getting
of
their
the
US FDA
EU
and
companies and the US and
EU
other
regulatory
countries,
certifications.
startups
Some
and
of the EU
innovators
companies and the
also
US and
coming
other
and looking at Indian
countries,
markets to
startups
collaborate with
and
our
host organization
innovators
and
also
our incubator
coming and looking
many
at
other
Indian
institutions
institutions
to
as well.
collaborate
So
with our host
we
organization
try
and
to
our
engage
incubator
in and many other institutions as well. So that people can co-develop the technologies in such a way they can that people can co-develop the foreign company and Indian company they can market they can form so that they can actually the foreign company and Indian company can through that JV. I think so that they can actually lot of scope align their marketing channels thanks to that JV. I think so open the gates, open the doors for all these kind of avenues. Thanks to our government where AICCCMB opened the gates, opened the doors for all these we are trying to accelerate such startups which are really potential to create larger impact. We are trying to accelerate such startups which are really potential to create larger impact. So look at us. Let's join the hands together to create startups and innovators to look at us. National let's join the hands together global create impact. Thanks, Sunil. Not only national impact but for global impact.
Ramjee
Thanks,
garu.
Sunil.
One of the things you rightly said,
Very well
with
brought
this
out,
support that
Ramjee
government
garu.
is providing,
One of the things
through
you
institutions
rightly
and the
said,
incubators like you,
with this
the
support that
talent
government is
now no
providing
more needs to
to
go out looking
institutions
for
and the incubators like you.
opportunities. They can
The talent
there, like
now
you said,
no more
40
needs to
plus
go out
patents
looking
with
for
120 startups.
opportunities.
Now they can do things
here in
there,
India,
like
and
you said, 40
that also
plus
leads
patents
to
with 120 startups. Now
to
they
the
can do
vision
things
here
to
in
the
India,
vision of
and
making
that
India the
also leads
pharmacy of the world.
to the
Yes.
vision to the vision of
Absolutely.
making India the
See, that
pharmacy of the world.
you're absolutely right because
Yes.
if you absolutely want to do that business you're absolutely right because or deep technologies if you I think want to do a business from and a strong patent ability is I think key. That's what probably you're addressing and a strong patent ability is
Tell me,
key. That's
support do you
what probably
provide?
you're
Because
addressing. Yeah.
what we understand from when you talk
Tell
about
me,
biotechnology,
what support do you
the
provide?
equipment runs
Because
into crores of rupees.
what we
right?
understand
So
from when
if you
you
can
talk
just
about
talk about,
biotechnology,
you can
the
paint
equipment
the
runs
picture
into crores of rupees
for our
right?
viewers.
So what
If you can just
how
talk
does
about,
AICCMB
you
look?
can paint the
What do you
picture
have there
for our
and
viewers,
the kind of
as
support they
to
get
how does
right from being
AICCMB
at
look,
your
what do you
incubation
have there,
center to
and
beyond, the kind of support they get
Yeah.
right from
So
being at
as I
your
mentioned to you, the
incubation center
equipments,
to
yes, of
beyond.
course, different programs. The
Yeah.
government
So,
is really
as I mentioned
pumping
to
a lot
you,
of money
the
to support
equipments,
such
yes, of course,
infrastructure.
different
And we are
programs.
very
The
blessed
government
with
is
our host
really
organization
pumping a lot of money
CCMB.
to support
They
such
have a
infrastructure.
lot of such
And we are
high-end
very blessed
equipment
with our
that
host
can be
organization
extended to
CCMB.
startups as well.
They
So they
have a
can
lot
come
of
and
such
use
high-end
those
equipment
host
that can be
organizations
extended to
equipment
startups
as well at a
so they
subsidized
can come
rates
and use
so that they can
those
actually get the
host
POC
organizations
done or
equipment
get the
as well
validations
at a
done.
subsidized
So that's
rates
one
so
thing.
that they can actually get the
And other
POC
than this
done or
infrastructure
get the
and
validations
equipment,
done.
so that's one thing.
Having equipments
And
is
other
something
than
very
this
important,
infrastructure
but
and equipments,
maintaining them,
that's
having
where
equipments is something
another
very
plus
important,
point.
but
As you may
maintaining
be
them.
thinking,
How
that's where
AICCCMB is very
another
differential
plus
because
point.
as you
The
may be
technical
thinking,
mentorship by the
how
scientists or the
AICCCMB is very differential
instrumentation
because
staff
that can
the
look at these
technical
equipments
mentorship by the
to run
scientists
them
or the
continuously
instrumentation
without any
staff that can look at these equipments
trouble
to
or
run them
anything that's
continuously
coming up in
without any
between. So
this is one of the best
trouble or
advantages that
anything
people
that's coming
who
up
are
in between.
incubated
So
here or who are
this is one
engaged
of the
or
best
to exits can happen by we are thinking 2025 or 2026. At least one or two hopefully exits can happen even if it is not too early, 2025 or 2026. Another hopeful 3-4 years I can say. Even if it is not too early, but maybe another 3-4 years I can say. So statistically, if we can say that the graduates, they actually gone to their bigger facilities. Some have been kind of pausing their activities due to certain constraints. Some dropouts are there. I have to uh, accept that obediently because this is a typical ecosystem scenario. But I can say one thing really much exciting way that when the products now are getting some attraction from the investors perspective as well as
commendable in because biotechnology as a for startups is pretty much new when you see as a sector, right? And within the short period of time, given that you lost 2 years of 2 years of time to corona, but also that was, as you rightly said, that was also a time blessing in disguise for the sector, that the awareness got created among startups, the among people who are working in biotechnology space. But then what you achieved in this last 3-4 years, I
workflow that can be created uh, with a fully functional infrastructure. So I think these are the 3-4 factors. So I can't say in the real estate mode that AICCCMB is so cheap, but yes, we are so proud that that these startups can utilize whatever the limited space that we have today. They're using it, and of course, they are raising grants here. So another important thing is that getting grants attracted to these startups that are incubated. So the chances of getting such grants and funding is high. So I think there are several such small factors that can differentiate AICCCMB from other incubators.
and when you talk about biotechnology, life sciences,
biotechnology, life sciences,
research, the
research,
image the image
or if
boring kind of a
reception is
thing,
that
right?
boring kind of a thing,
Which
right?
drags
Which
on and
which
time
drags
consuming.
on and
But
time
you guys are doing
consuming.
something,
But you guys are
you
doing
have made an
something,
attempt to
you have
break
made
that
an
mold,
attempt to break
because
that
we've been
mold,
at your center and
because
we
we've
saw the
been at
way,
your center and
the
we saw the
incubate
way,
center is built.
the incubate center is
And
built.
to top it up,
And
you
to
also,
top it
the
up,
demo day
you
that you
also,
did
the
was
demo day that you
completely
did
at a
was
different
completely
location,
at a different location,
which is like kind of
which is
breaking
like kind
away
of
from the usual.
breaking away
Do you
from the
want to talk
usual.
about the
Do you
demo
want to
day
talk
that
about
you
the
did
demo
two
day
days
that
ago,
you
and
did 2 days ago,
what was
and
it about, and
what was
why
it
did you
about,
choose
and
that
why
particular
did you
location?
choose that particular location?
Yeah, in fact, the major drawback or whatever I can say, the researchers think in their domains and in their boundaries. Myself being a researcher, once upon a time, I can say that we work at the benches. We may not be knowing the outside world sometimes. So I think let's do it outside. Then the the core areas, premises. In fact,
What better than having a pub, right?
yeah, yeah.
What
So
better
that's
than
yeah,
doing
yeah.
what
So
better
that's
than doing a
yes,
pub?
yes. Because
Yes, yes, because
most of the successful
most of the
incubators or
successful
such kind of
incubators or
accelerators,
such kind of accelerators,
they have such kind of
they
events
have such kind of events.
outside their core areas or core premises. So I think that gives a lot of exposure to interact and engage and share the information or share the experiences. So the recent one that we kind of did it as a first of its kind of attempt from AICCCMB. We have done several gatherings and networking events and workshops, but this is one of its kind to attract a lot of investors. We reached out to some of the unknown investors as well. We don't even know actually, but they are very much keen to engage with biotech startups. And a dozen of them, I mean, kind of attended this event, and they understand what are the positive features of the startups and what are the gaps that they've found in the pitching. So they advise, they give the feedback and comments. I think this kind of demo day is a kickstarting way of encouraging such deep tech innovators. And I hope we'll be doing a lot of such events in the near future, maybe quarterly ones or half yearly ones, so that we can at least tell what we do and what our startups can do. And the startup founders not limited to the benches, but also the businesses. So that's what I can say.
That was we were at the event, and definitely, the location that you picked was out of the regular. So,
Right.
if you have to look for next, coming years, what's the vision? What's the roadmap for AICCCMB? When it comes to biotechnology.
So typically, an incubator starts its life to actually, chalo, let's lease some of the spaces for the startups or innovators, and okay, let's engage them or create a pipeline for startups for not only incubation, for let's welcome them for the services, so that the small revenues can be there to manage the OPEX of the incubation center. So I think in the past 6, 7 years, we successfully achieved that, pipeline creation, and also having those serious startups with us, with a lot of learnings. Year on year, we learned a lot, and we have seen a lot of evolution of our activities as well. So in the coming next 2 to 3 years or 5 years, I think we are looking a bit differently to attract global partnerships. That's one thing. And also, I think being in the city, we could able to get much traction. But again, we have to expand our support systems or services to other cities or other tier 2, tier 3 cities, or within the state or near adjacent states, for example, Andhra Pradesh. So we can expand our services and our collaborations and pipeline in such a manner so that we can show our presence nationally by being set up our small offices or small incubation services in collaboration with the private agencies or government agencies. That's what the plan. And the third point is that we are now kind of planning ourselves to be the serious life science accelerators, because that is where we find a lot of gap, and we try to actually attract some serious partnerships from one or two VC communities, where they can be joining and run kind of 6 to 8 weeks acceleration programs, at least half yearly ones. So I think the incubators, unless until they convert to be an accelerator, we can't see great exits and great successes in the life science domain. So I think these three things that we are looking at seriously, and expanding portfolio slightly from the life science and biotech sector to maybe environment and environmental health, or maybe wildlife conservation, and all these areas probably would like to look at in the broader picture, so that we can contribute to the ecosystem, not only the startup ecosystem, but ecosystem that we have on the earth. Thank you.
We wish you all the very best, and we rightly said, for the success to or reach your milestone, you have to go, have more partnerships, including private, and taking it to tier 2, tier 3 cities. So
Yes.
thank you very much, and viewers, do stay on. Following this, we go for a short break, and we'll have a panel talk after this.
Thank you so much. Yeah. I'll be here. So I think Vanita, you can actually, yeah, you are on another pod, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. So maybe the complete background can be white. Is it possible? You can actually click your laptop to the back. Okay. Yeah.
The way I do it, light.
Yeah, light issue, right? Oh.
Yeah.
Maybe we can, the team from MyStartupTV can guide you. Yeah, Vanita, I think earlier is better, the lighting thing.
I think earlier was better.
Let me see if I can.
No, that's okay.
Somebody got can you use the light for the space? Just pull the laptop to this.
Laptop to
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Right? Good to go? Okay, start. Welcome back, viewers, to MyStartupTV. This is our inaugural daily live show, which is going live both for our international and domestic audience. We are currently being watched in about 80 plus countries, and we will be broadcasting on our regional channel, which will be in 14 different languages. Uh, as part of the program, we'll be hosting thought leaders, founders, entrepreneurs on our daily show, which will be broadcasted 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. India time. So if you want to know more about the global startup ecosystem, do join us every day live for our live show. Now let's get into our next program, which is into the panel talk on biotechnology. My guests today are Ramjee Pallel, who is the COO of AICCCMB. Hello, Ramjee Garu, namaskar. My next guest is Lakshmipati, who is the founder of Mabag Jennings. And then my third guest is Vinita, who's the co-founder of Physics Expo 44. Welcome, welcome all. Welcome to the show.
Nice to be here.
Thank you. There's a small correction. I'm one of the founding member of the Fix 44, but not a co-founder. Yeah, but I'm a scientific lead of the, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
So
start with you, Vinita. If you could tell us, about Physics 44. What is it all about?
Yeah, so it's, I'll start with the name of the startup, Fix 44. And I think, Lakshmi Garu, if you can mute yourself because we are, yeah, thank you.
traditional and Ayurveda foods, and also having the resources. And from the pandemic times, I think, the food and nutrition area, okay, the cosmeceuticals and nutraceuticals area is also just growing exponentially. In that sense, yes, this is the right time that these kind of startups can actually add much value to fill those gaps of protein and other supplements. Yeah.
Very true, and this is what we have seen, as you rightly brought out. Post pandemic, there is a huge push among people towards Ayurveda and natural.
Yes.
So coming to you, Lakshmi Garu, tell us about your startup venture. What is it into?
Hi, I'm Lakshmipati. I'm the co-founder of Mapgenics Private Limited. Similar to what everybody is trying to do now, we are trying to move away from natural resources which are finite and go to an in vitro biotechnology type of technology where we can have infinite resources. So we are basically a biologics company. Our thrust is in the production of development of monoclonal antibodies against diseases of interest to India. Normally, when we try to produce antibodies, we have to immunize animals with the protein of interest and get antibodies out of those animals and then purify and everything. So this adds a level of complexity where animal host proteins can interfere and cause severe allergic reactions within our body. So as an alternative to animal immunizations, what we are doing is set up a platform technology where all the possible antibodies are already synthesized in bacteria or in yeast, and just we have to identify the correct antibody using our antigen of interest. For example, we can use anti-venom, for example. We can use venom components of any of the snakes and just use that as a kind of fishing rod to get the antibody that can neutralize the venom components. So we have the platform technology already established, and we are identifying antibodies against many diseases of particularly of interest to India.
What stage are you at, Lakshmipati Garu? I mean, are the trials on? Have you already have MVP? What stage are you in?
We are actually at the preclinical stage. We have not gone to a trial stage yet. We have the antibodies in hand, but even before we go to the clinical trials or anything, we have to first test whether our antibodies are safe. Naturally, they are safe, but still we have to do it practically and show that not only these are safe, but they are also able to do the work they are supposed to do. Like, for example, if you take anti-venom, they have to neutralize the venom toxins. So even before we go for clinical trials, we have to do a preclinical stage, and that is where we are in right now.
Ramjee Garu, when you talk about antigens and our immune system or the trials that happen, the issues of ethical comes up in a big way. What's your take on that?
Yes, it's a good question because most of the biotech or almost everyone working in the biotech and life sciences domain, especially related to the healthcare, they need to follow certain dossiers of ethical clearances. If you can see, starting from the biosafety clearances or the institutional ethical clearances, what I mean to say, we have human ethics, animal ethics. So each step, will be guiding our startups to follow. And it's like a boon having a host organization like CCMB, where these startups that are incubated here, they no need to form separate committees for their companies. So they can actually root out these clearances with CCMB, and they actually get the ethical clearances and the paperwork in place so that they can go to the next level. And yes, next level of regulatory clearances and understanding, of course, we help them to help these startups by coordinating with such kind of regulatory agencies. So I think that's what I can actually answer at this moment.
Very true. So, just to remind our viewers, we are going live. This is our inaugural daily live show on MyStartupTV, which is an international channel, and MyStartupTV Regional, which is in 14 languages. And we have been watched in about 80 plus countries. Coming back to you, Vinita, you mentioned that you're in the the dairy side of it. So, what's the scope for you, and what stage are you in?
So right now we had our proof of concept ready, and we are into a stage where we are going for product development. Our first approach is B2B, that is, we are looking for other businesses like, let's say, for example, yogurt making company, frozen desserts and all, who can take our protein, which is our product, and then kind of use in their products. So that's why right now we are for immediate challenge is the scale. When we talk about fermentation, so right now we are at a level where we are putting it in a 100-liter tank. But when you want, so that's when I said you want insulin in very small amount. When we are talking about dairy proteins, they are in grams per liter, right? So that's the stage we are in. We are at 100-liter. We want access to more fermenters and all. We can scale and get more protein so that we can give it to our partners for the product development.
Ramji Garu, so in scenarios like these where startups need support both in terms of marketing and sourcing products or their raw material ingredient that would go into their research or product development, what kind of support does AICCCMB provide?
So generally for a typical startup, I think, in the biotech and life science area, lot of, burn rate is in the consumables area. I mean, of course, manpower too, because skilled manpower is one, important factor for running such kind of startups to address some questions in the research and translation. So, I think, after the manpower cost, I think these consumables are taking up a lot of. So what we do is that we don't provide consumables, but actually the grants that support such kind of consumables or such kind of services, that we guide them. So the raw materials where they can get, we can guide them. Or even if someone want to develop a prototype where that can be done, that design and prototyping. So we actually guide them. We can actually also negotiate with the vendors to actually subsidize some of the costs or maybe reduce the cost or give good discounts to them. So I think our role being an incubator, other than the equipment and services, we actually kind of help them, kind of reducing the burden in their material sourcing and consumables. Yeah.
To adding to Ramji's saying, one of the most important factor in biotech research is also the kind of equipments we use, right? So if I have to start a startup right now, my immediate need for a small bio thing would be like crossing 2 crores, 3 crores, right? If I have to buy each and every instrument, and even if it is a second-hand instruments, that is where again incubator centers like AICCCMB helps us, because everything is in place. There's we can use the equipments and they are maintained so well, particularly at AICCCMB. So in that way, that's a huge help. We can't even start our work, our POC kind of thing without that kind of support. And the next level is also like Ramji particularly is very helpful in this thing, is like he's in that environment. There are the connections that is most important for a startup, right? I know how to be done, but I know to get to the right people. And that is where I think AIC, CCMB and people like Ramji comes in, because sometimes we scientists are very comfortable at our bench, but the connections are to be made to if we have to run a business, and that's how it happens.
Just as you mentioned about the raw material, again, I have to acknowledge the great works of our host organization. Some of the clones or some of the cell lines, okay, or some strains of microbes on a material transfer agreement mode, okay, exclusively and only for the research purposes, not for the commercial purposes. They extend the offers to our startups. So that is very much important, Sunil, that I'd like to highlight here, because incubator can be there, but they may not be able to provide such kind of facilities unless until you don't have such kind of greatest support by the host organization. That's where our director, Dr. Vinay Nandikuri, always says that uh, um, startups are just like our employees of CCMB. So whatever the resources that we have, whatever the infrastructure that we have, they are like family. We have to extend our best help for them. So just quickly to add this.
So, Lakshmi Garu, coming to you, as a startup, what's your timeline by the time you can have your first product out into the market?
Yeah, so especially in the field of biologics, the timelines are very big simply because we have talked about this before also, where there are particular regulations where we cannot actually do human testing or clinical trials without passing through animal testing phase or even a preclinical stage where we show in the laboratory itself that yes, our antibody is working. So for any, not just for a startup, for even an established company in the monoclonal antibody fields, the time it takes for development to the product to going to the market can be as high as 5 to 8 years. So our model of engagement is that we do the initial development, but then we request or we partner with a already established company so that they are much more faster as well as much more knowledgeable about the kind of regulations that are required. So once we develop our product, most of the clinical testing or clinical trials will have to be done with the help of an established company in this particular field. Unfortunately, that is the truth for anything that goes into a human body, let it be a monoclonal antibody or any injectable, any drug that has to be taken. The timelines are quite big, actually. They are quite long.
Ramji garu, this is a very interesting, situation where startups by nature don't have, deep pockets, and also given the fact that anything in biotechnology takes a lot of time. So would it be right, way of approaching where startups bring up the initial, do the initial part, and then collaborate with some big partners, big players, who can then not only help them scale but also the pace?
Yeah, I can actually answer this two ways. One is that the students or faculty or even the startups, if they have ideas, we try to help them validating their ideas, whether there is a feasibility of taking that idea towards market. So in that sense, we help them to pre-incubate with us or engage with our startups as well for about 2 weeks or a month or 2 months. And then they can actually work on that idea to, make it as a small business plan or something like that. And then we guide them for raising grants. So that is one way to support at the initial stages, at the idea level. And then when they come here, or maybe outsiders also, any other freelance startups or any other startups at the TRL3 range, if they come here without grants also, we'll tell them, okay, this is the way to attract grants on your stage of technology or the productization. So this is a big boost for them. So at that, so always the startups need to remember, especially in these kind of deep tech domains, each level or each stage of your startup, you need different level of funding and also mentorships. So your advisors or mentors need to change on different levels. So ideation stage different and lab level, POC level is different. Validation partners to be there, or maybe outsourcing partners or outsourcing advisors or business people. And again, marketing and supply chain in case if you already reached to the pre-commercialization and commercialization stage. So my point here is that understanding or having that consciousness of uh, tapping into those particular funding scenarios is very much important. That's where we actually keep on triggering and try to point these factors to the startups to take it to the next level. Other than the funding, yes, you used a word actually. I liked it. Connecting to the right business players or channel partners. I think everybody may not be commercializing. So this point is very clear. A scientist can understand, or maybe a student can understand, or a startup even can understand. So before a setting up a startup, everybody may not be an entrepreneur. They can be working with entrepreneurs and other startups. And every startup may not be doing its commercials. They can actually simply identify the other market players who can actually sell their technologies or transfer their technologies or form the JVs. I think these modalities are to be understood. Then I think, at least we can increase our startup success rate to from the 5% to 7% to even 10%. So that's what the message.
So, as MyStartupTV, a media house, we are doing our bit by providing the platform to startups, enablers, where we take your, the news from startup community, the startup ecosystem to the world out there. So, before I go, Vinita, what do you think? You know, media platform like ours, when we carry the stories, when we carry the news, or create the visibility, how do you see that?
So, when we talk about biotech scenario or system, if you Google or find it out in the major news, established companies come about. Like whenever you talk about biotech companies, there would be 10 top companies list which comes, and then beyond that there is like nothing. I mean, but it's unless being a scientist, unless I came to AICCCMB and we started working with a startup, I didn't had an idea that there are so many startups working with such beautiful ideas. And so that is where I think TV channels, startup TV channels like yours will help, like uh, students need to know what are more, there are more options for them. And the typical traditional pathways like academic or established company industries. But then when they come to us, there's a lot of growth, particularly when people who are working with a startup, there's a lot of growth. They will join and they get to know the ideas fit in a normal big company. Not all people get to know all the ideas. So in that way you can go, your outreach will kind of and apart from that, there's also like personally for a company like us, more people need to know that yes, we are developing a product. And so that what it will create is like, if you can spread the word, we will maybe at the end of the day have more consumers who are interested in our products. And particularly in a country like India, where although people have started, there are vegans and all those things, and that is where people will get to know more about our products first, if
That's
at
the
all. I'm
intent.
like,
Where
they know that the company is there, and then they can go and search. Yeah, so then they come to know about our products, and that's how it. So
well, that's the intent. That's the whole vision for and the mission of My Startup TV. Brings stories, showcase startups and incubators and enablers, without categorizing them or putting them to blocks of unicorns and unicorns. Lakshmi Garu, what are your thoughts? I think there is an issue with the connection. Ramji Garu, we have been interacting on at various levels and for a couple of years now. What do you think about platform like ours that can that's carrying the stories and showcasing the startup ecosystem?
Yeah. See, probably in 19 or I think around pre-pandemic times when I see something like My Startup TV, I was so quite excited. The first global Bio India, right? GBI, yes. GBI started by Dadan, Secretary Swaroop, DBT, then my Startup TV started covering the road shows. Um, it's not like, a typical commercial media that does, identifying who can pay and do cover them only. I think this is the uniqueness that I saw in My Startup TV. despite of having small sustainable or maybe small revenues that you actually look for, maintaining or managing your team activities and your media activities, you actually reached out to all the stakeholders of the ecosystem, and that's where we understood this partnership can actually take it to the next level. That's where we engaged you for many of our activities, including the recent demo day, which is an awesome activity. We got a lot of response and many. I get several LinkedIn requests in the past 2 days, considering our social media presence through this coverage by My Startup TV. So it's an amazing journey where we would like to be part of it, Sunil, and we will be doing very different activities for sure. That's where our startups should be getting more mileage than us. So that's what the idea. And thanks for doing great walks. Yeah.
Thank you, Ramjee Garu. Thank you for your all the support that you have been providing us and the AICCC team there. Lakshmi Garu, the final word yours. What are your thoughts?
I can only, encompass whatever Ramji and Dr. Vanita has said. The major problem for a startup is to reach out to people. May I may know whatever is going on in my own field, but the problem is that people do not know us. So we need some kind of a platform where everybody in the world knows that, hey, there is MapGenX who is doing some work in monoclonal antibodies. Do you want to partner with them to maybe get your work done? That kind of exposure is just not possible for a single startup, not just because of the amount of money or the energy that is involved, but also simply because a word of mouth is difficult to reach towards all corners of the world. A platform, something like MyStartupTV, who focuses only on startups to a wider audience around the world, is a very big boon for startups like us. So I thank you for reaching out to us. Thank you.
And thank you, panelists. Thank you for being on our show. You are our first, set of panelists who are coming on our inaugural daily live show. And Dr. Ramjee Garu, thank you very much. Dr. Vinita, Lakshmipati Garu, thank you very much for being on our show. And we hope to see you again on our subsequent biotechnology shows. Thank you very much.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Thanks to the world that is witnessing the growth and development of the wonderful ecosystem under the umbrella of One Health. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.